friends. Welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. Welcome to a Sunday stream. Thanks for being here. I see a lot of first timers, and it's going to be a pretty chill stream today. So we're going to do some Kit Kat taste testing, and then we're going to do a little bit of soldering, and I'll explain why I'm doing the soldering that I'm doing when we get there. But welcome in. It seems like there are less people here than usual, so if you normally tune in and I don't get to see your messages, now is the time to say something, because I'll actually be able to read the chat. I did not bring enough Kit Kats for everyone. I'll show you. I have one. I have one Kit Kat, and I'm only going to eat half of it so that my partner can have the other half when the stream is over. That's the plan there. I didn't even check my fingernails. Are they camera ready? I think they are. Well, welcome in, everyone. Let's say hi to everybody. Thanks for being here. You'll notice we're in the makers and crafting category, which typically we're in software and game development. So that's an interesting category. But we are going to be making. We're going to be soldering after we eat some food for a little bit. Anfois from G64. Very cool. I can't relate that back to what your actual name is. And if you want to share it in the chat, that's fine. But if not, hello. I probably remember you. I just don't know that chat name. Yeah. Yeah, welcome in, everyone. It's true. We are, I mean, we're not making the deliciousness. We are consuming it. Oh, look at the packaging, though. It's blue screened out. Because it's blue. Cool. Let's say hi to everybody. Oh yeah, and Pearman, with the 1 year and 11-month following. I thought that was a resub or something like that. Oh, he was. You got a 4-month resub. Homie Coder, thank you for the 9-month prime. Refactorer with the 27 months. It's been a while, Refactorer. Thanks for being in here. And Pearman with the 4 months. Thank you. No invisible water today. I've got a guava la croix. Here, we'll do a little bit of this. Yeah, there will be no solder on the Kit Kat. But let's say hi to everyone. Just say hi. Say hi in the chat and I'll acknowledge you, and it's going to be very easy because there's not many people here. Heck, hello, welcome in. What's up, Alcaezer? Alcaezer. You see that, Alka? They've got your name. Alcaezer. Hello, what's up, Refactor? And then there's the real Alka. What's up, Baba Ganoush and Anfois and the Shebas? My heart is with you. My thoughts are with you. Thanks for being here. You're great. What's up, DS Legends? Homie Coder. Hello. What's up, Chet Dev and Lucas and Abiabo and Yaps TV and Decros and History Code and Pearman. And Sfati says, good to see you after a long time. It's good to see you too. Welcome in. What's up, Johnny Drama and Coffee Nomad? Hello. What's up, Tup Link and the Bite Pusher and Kaspersky. What's up, Bimsicle and Sushi Man and SNS Scorpio and Irv. Buenas tardes. Welcome in, everyone. And Crypto, what's up? Well, there's a few other first-timers in the chat. Thanks for being here. I normally don't stream on Sundays, so it's cool that some people can tune in that normally can't. What's up, Abiabo and Ahmed and Kaspersky and Bruhalissa and Sfati and Sushi Man and Crypto CMD. Welcome in, everyone. And Sequel Gordster, what's up? Thanks for being here. All right, let's get right into it. Let's eat a Kit Kat. Though I'll try this really quick. So I have a new light that I can turn on, like that. But I can turn it down. How is that? How does that look? I'm pretty shiny. I probably need to put some of that anti-shiny makeup on. But other than the shininess, I think most of the shadows are pretty gone. All right. Yeah, we'll keep it there. Yeah, I mean, we can maybe even go one more. Yeah, right there. Perfect. All right, let's eat a Kit Kat. So I was at the store. and I saw this, and I was like, let's try it. I was also at the store just seeing if there was anything I could use for content, and I spent a good 15 minutes in the greeting card aisle looking at all the greeting cards that play sounds and play songs, because it would have been really cool to tear that apart and like see what hardware was inside. But I ended up not doing that because pretty much every single one would be like a DMCA strike because they're all like copyrighted music that play on the cards. But I want to do that one day, is to break it down and see what hardware is inside. Let's look up this blueberry muffin thing because I know nothing about it. I am a fan of Kit Kats in general, and Japan has a lot of interesting flavored Kit Kats. So I'm used to those. Recently I've had like the bubble tea flavored Kit Kat. I've had green tea flavored Kit Kat. I've had wine flavored Kit Kat. What else? I've had a lot of different Kit Kats, and you don't often see like off flavors of Kit Kat in the US. Yeah. It's all the flavor and feels of waking up to a freshly baked crumb-coated blueberry muffin. Oh yeah, apple pie. We had apple pie flavored Kit Kats. Yeah. Whoa, Kit Kat duos, strawberry and dark. That looks fun. We'll have to try that eventually. All right, let's get into this Kit Kat unboxing. Walgreens had the duos. Okay, we'll have to get those for next time. But here we go. Kit Kat blueberry muffin. Expires in 2023, but we're gonna eat it today, and it's by the Hershey Company. Gonna open it like a pack of Pokemon cards. Okay, for a second, the color of the Kit Kat looked pretty sickly. I was like, oh, has the chocolate gone bad? But no, that's just the color of it. And I guess that makes sense. Now I'm gonna break it in half, because I'm only gonna eat 2. Like I said, the other half is gonna go to my partner. There it is. I can smell it. It smells like blueberry. Let's try one. It's great. It literally tastes like a blueberry muffin. The snozzberries taste like snozzberries. How do they do it? You know, a lot of things that are flavored with blueberry have like that fake blueberry taste. I don't think this has that. I can't be too sure because it's been a while since I've had like fake blueberry flavor. Well, so this is blueberry muffin, and it tastes like a blueberry muffin. Maybe the aftertaste has like a slight fake blueberry taste, but it's not bad. That's good. That is absolutely a test pass. Oh, and who was saying goodbye? Tim Scar, thanks for dropping in. Appreciate you. Have a good evening. I am pleasantly surprised by this Kit Kat. This is a good Kit Kat. Exactly, Pyramid. Why would you even need a blueberry? I mean, this is so. I mean, I'm only eating half, so it's technically 110 calories. A muffin is gonna have like at least 300 or 400 calories. Yeah. Yeah, I think we can we can keep a running score. This Kit Kat is at the top because it is it's the only one I've tasted on stream. How often would I have? No, that's a good question, Sequel Gordster. How often would I have it over a regular Kit Kat? It's a special treat. This isn't, because it's somewhat rich. It's not something I would eat all the time. But if I'm looking for just a special blueberry treat, this is good. Like, I can eat a lot of Kit Kats. They recently came out with those Kit Kat Slims. They're like tiny Kit Kats. And they're supposed to, I mean, it's technically less calories because the Kit Kats are smaller, but I could eat like 10 of them in a sitting. I could not eat 10 of these because it's really sweet. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna hide the camera while I lick my fingers off. This isn't that kind of stream. Yeah, crunch is great. The same tactile experience as a regular Kit Kat. I mean, honestly, I would say that the chocolate or the icing actually sticks. I feel like it sticks to my fingers more than a regular Kit Kat, but it also could just be the temperature of the room. I don't know. But I have Alka. I mean, that's actually what I was just talking about. Let me show a picture of it. They're like Kit Kat Slims or Thins. That's what they are. They're Thins. Is this the ones you're talking about, Alka? Because these are dangerous. I mean, if you can limit yourself to like one or two of them, it's great because it's less sugar, they're smaller, but I ate through an entire bag and I didn't regret it. It was great. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and so they also started doing the Reese's Thins as well. It's a similar thing. They're just like single size, less chocolate, less peanut butter, so it's lower calorie. Well, it's good to hear William Golding, who says, just finished a bug fix to a principled variation search algorithm to solve a variation of the ultimate tic-tac game. That's cool. Programming is stressful, but it's fulfilling in the end. I agree. I mean, since we're talking about candy, the Reese's Big Cup is great. Have you had the one with pretzels in it, or the one that has potato chips in it? Yeah. Well, okay, so all of this talk of candy is reminding me of Good Mythical Morning, which is a YouTube channel. But they typically do taste tests and ranking of candy and such. However, my partner and I determined that the Reese's Halloween... Well, we didn't... I mean, anybody could determine this by just getting one. The Reese's Pumpkins has more peanut butter in it. It's like basically the size of a regular Reese's, but it's a thinner layer of chocolate and more peanut butter. Similar to the Easter ones that they have. Not these Reese's peanut butter eggs. They're basically Reese's peanut butter cups with like twice the peanut butter in them. So, yeah. We should definitely do some taste test streams. I'll go get a bunch of candies. But I mean, I want to lose weight, so I don't want to eat candy. Regardless, let's work on some hardware. Okay, so what we're doing today, and actually, I don't know if I'll turn this into a YouTube video, but maybe we will, so I'll do an intro. And one more quick aside. I don't know if I've had the Reese's Christmas trees. Mrs. CJ is upstairs. Oh, she does not go by that. I would assume that this is going to be similar to the yeah, look at it. That's very similar to the Easter eggs and the Halloween pumpkins. Though I don't think I've ever had this one. Huh. Oh yeah, don't worry about it, American 2050. If you give me the names, actually, that would be cool to crowdsource from chat. People in various countries around the world can tell me what their favorite snacks are, and then I can figure out how to order them. Like, you don't have to order them for me. I'll figure out how to order them and then taste them on stream. Okay, let's talk about hardware. Hello, friends. Welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. I'm CJ. And today we're going to talk about some hardware. So I am going to be soldering a USB cable. And I'll tell you why in a moment. But what I want to look up right now is the USB 2.0 specification. Basically, there's a specification that says how a USB cable should work. Is this a PDF document? Oh, it's a zip file. I don't know if I want to download the zip file. Wonder if I can find the USB 2.0 diagram. Yeah, pinouts, something like this. Basically, yeah, I mean, it would be fun. I, I want to do cooking streams as well. I'm a pretty decent cook. Okay, let me start over so I can just talk through this diagram. Hello friends, welcome to Coding Garden. I'm CJ, and today we're going to be soldering and modifying a USB cable. So if you look at a USB cable, and we're just working with a USB 2.0 cable, it has several wires inside of it. It has a ground, it has data plus, data minus, and then it has power, or VCC. And the cable that I'm working with here is a cable that has the data pins or the data wires hooked up. And that's actually what I'm going to remove. Let me show it on the camera over here. So this cable is for a dash cam for a car. And the issue is this thing is a somewhat smart device. And if I plug it in here, and then if I plug this end into the provided USB port in my car, this thing thinks it's hooked up to a computer. So it doesn't do the thing where it automatically turns on and automatically starts recording. So what I want to do is I want to modify this cable so that it no longer tries to think or tries to detect that it is connected to a computer. And I'm going to do that by removing all of the wires, or basically severing the connection between all of the wires except for the ground wire and the power wire, because this little device literally only needs ground and power to work. All of the data lines are really just for transferring data. Like you could hook it up to a computer and download the recordings from it. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the cable open. I'm going to only reattach the black and the red wire, leave the other ones unattached, and now this cable will behave as just a power cable. So the device will no longer think it's being plugged into a computer. That's the plan, and that's what we're going to do. Yeah, and so you may have run into this before, like if you got a USB cable that was included with something you bought, and then you tried to use that USB cable to plug your phone into your computer, but it would only give it power. It wouldn't, like, your computer wouldn't detect that a phone had been connected. That's because that cable actually only had the ground and the power wire inside of it, and some cables are made that way. But this cable was not, so we're going to turn it into that. And here's what we're going to do. We are going to... trying to think the best section to do this. I'm going to do this more towards the end that gets plugged into the port, because the other piece of the wire like goes through the car to be hung up as a dash cam. So this is the end. I'm going to cut the wire right here. Watch me. Are you ready? Ah! So we've cut it. But now what we want to do is we want to expose both sides, and then make it so that and then we're going to solder and reattach only the black wire and the red wire. Yeah, and it's funny though, because like we technically haven't ruined it, right? We could connect each one of the individual wires inside. Oh no, stream ended. You cut the wire. But first of all, let's expose this end over here, and then we'll expose the other end. So, I have a couple of tools that help with this. You also, like, you don't need these tools. Like, technically what you could do is you could get some scissors and just lightly score the plastic coating. Because what we want to do is we want to remove that plastic coating to expose the individual wires, and then we can pull the wires away that we don't care about, tape them off, and get a good length of red and black wire, so that way we can solder it to the other end. So these tools are interesting. So there's a blade right there, and then varying diameters. So I can see which diameter this fits. Probably the middle one. Probably the outer one. And the way that works is you just turn it like this, and that should score it enough to be able to pull the plastic coating off. What is the AUG of this wire? Let's see if it's labeled. It is 28 AUG. And I think 28 refers to each of the individual wires inside, because, I mean, the whole casing, that's thick, right? But the wires that are inside are the ones that are 28 AUG. That didn't work. So I might actually just use some scissors, but this is interesting because it's spring-loaded, so I could just apply just enough pressure to make sure that I'm not cutting the wires on the inside. I'm only cutting the plastic, so I'm going to try that. I think this is literally just called a wire cutter. It usually comes in a kit for crimping Ethernet cables. But I don't know. Anybody in chat know what this thing is called? Is that a spider on my neck? Hey! Is there? Where? Wire stripper? Yeah, I guess technically this is just a wire stripper. Yeah. And we were saying AUG, not odd. So AWG. And it's a measurement for wire thickness. The higher the number, the thinner the wire is. Jacket stripper. All right, I think we've got it. So basically I've cut the plastic, but not the wires inside. I'm just trying to get there we go. So I've pulled that little plastic piece off, and then inside we can see the individual wires. This outside stuff is actually shielding, so it prevents interference from getting into the wire, but I'm just going to peel this back, and then we're going to see those 4 wires. Look at that. So inside of this was actually 4 wires, and then you can see that red and black one. That is power and ground. I do believe the black one is ground. Yeah, so it's a good question to ask. So American 2050 is saying, like, is that stuff on the outside actually shielding, or is it the ground wire? I do believe it's just shielding. And yeah, with other types of wire, like Ethernet wire, this piece is actually, it's not metal. It's usually like thread, and that actually helps you to remove part of the outside plastic coating. But yeah, I'm fairly sure that this is just shielding because we have the expected 4 wires inside of there. And so what we're going to do is we're basically going to take the green and the white one, just push them out of the way, and then we're only going to reconnect the black and red one to the other end of the wires, black and red one. So let's expose it on the other side as well. The shielding is like aluminum foil. There's like this aluminum foil type stuff that was wrapping all 4 of the wires, and then there was this just like loose wires like this. Yeah, that's American 2050 has a good question. Do I have those noodle things that shrink? They're called shrink wrap or a heat shrink, and I do. Yeah. So it's basically when I'm done with this wire, it's gonna look pro. Like you're not even It'll be hard to detect that I really even did anything to it, because we have these things, and so this is heat shrink wrapping. Basically, after I solder and connect the wires together. Before I'll put this on there, solder the wires together, and then just apply a little bit of heat, and it just shrinks down, and it essentially creates a seal. Yeah, and then you always want to remember to put it on before you start soldering. Okay, so we're going to do this exposing bit on the other side of the wire now. Yeah, and it's way better than tape because it just, after it shrinks, it's like, it's affixed. There's no stickiness. But like, technically, you could just do it with tape. You could literally just get some electrical tape, expose both ends, tape it together, and be done. But I'm trying to do a somewhat professional job of it. Right, we're almost through. That's a good point, Wimsky. Never cut the wires if there's any power applied to it. But I'm dealing with just a plain old wire by itself. It's not plugged into anything. So we did it on this side. We got that plastic shielding off, and now we can do the same thing. I'll try to do it on camera. So, like this is a piece that wraps the whole wire along it, like these wires here. It might be copper or aluminum, and then there's like this aluminum foil that wraps the 4 wires. And that's how I expose them. So, see, I can just kind of peel this back. And there they are. So, same thing on this side. The green and white wires, I don't want anything to do with, so those are just going to go off to the side. And now our task is to take the black and the red wire from this side and attach it to the black and the red wire on this side. That's a funny question from Vulture Bike. Are you going to show the part where you hide a chip in the USB interface for nefarious reasons? So you might have heard of like bad or hacking USB cables. And that's basically how they do it. Like there's actually a chip embedded on the wire that can do things. But yeah, we to do it correctly, the black wire goes to the black wire and the red wire goes to the red wire. Now, we have to do some further stripping of the wire because below or beneath this actually is copper. So what we're looking at is even smaller plastic shielding, or I don't think this is called shielding, just plastic wrap or whatever. So each of that red and that black is actually like a tiny plastic wrap that I need to further expose because that's going to be the metal part and that's going to be the part that I solder to the other side. Insulator, good call. That's what it is. RTX Hayes is saying. So this is insulator, and it's an insulator because it's not a conductor. It's the opposite of a conductor in that electricity cannot or does not pass through this stuff very well. It just melts, right? It doesn't actually let electricity pass through it like a copper wire would. So the insulator is what we need to pull back. What's up, Achillines? Welcome in. So this is going to be a very, very delicate little piece of surgery here to remove the shielding because these are teeny tiny. So these are 28 AUG wires. They're teeny tiny. Let's try. Yeah, I mean, they're so tiny that this actually is too big for them. Yeah, you could just use your fingernails, which I might do. Let's see. Yeah. Check that out. So there is the wire inside that we've exposed. So now I can take the wire on this side, expose the wire on this side, twist them together, and you could be done, but from there I'm actually going to use solder so that it's a more permanent connection. NFG Codex is saying, I usually use a lighter on 28 AUG and up. You mean, oh, like a lighter to melt the shielding off? Yeah. And if, oh no, Sequel Gordster is saying, I think that's what the tip is for. Possibly, like this little piece right here. Maybe. How will I re-insulate the cables? I'll just use the existing stuff that's there to after I've soldered them and heat shrinked them. I'll use the existing aluminum on both sides to further wrap it. And then after I've wrapped it, I've got shielding that's going to go on top of it. So I can cut this down to size and then melt it and shrink it into place. So it'll be, you won't even know it happened. Basically underneath it's going to be a mess, but then it's all going to be inside of that shielding there. Full stack electrician, that's funny. All right, so that side is exposed. Let's do this side now. Keystone jacks? Maybe, I don't know. Tux is saying, I had to rewire my dad's home theater. Thankfully, the wires are a bit thicker and easier to work with. Yeah, I mean, the thicker the wire, the easier it is to strip because, like, strip the insulation. Because the issue here is, if I cut too deep, I just cut the wire. So I have to be really careful getting that insulation off. And Ched is asking, do I have an explanation for how data transfers on copper? It's just electricity with information? Yeah, so it's electricity, and then that's where the idea of zeros and ones or high and low comes in. And that really only happens on the green and the white wires, because the red and the black wires are power and ground. So no data is transferred over red and black wires, just power and ground, but data is transferred over the white and the green cables. And what I understand about it is that when the data is being transferred, it's just a series of ons and offs or high and low voltage. So like electricity is being passed through the green wire, but if it's higher, then that's going to count as a 1, and if it's lower, then that's going to count as a 0. It's usually not off and on, it's just like high and low. And that's gets reassembled on the other side into usable data. Oh, you melt the plastic. That makes sense. NFG Codex was saying they just melt the plastic on these to remove it. I mean, I'm not gonna use this cam for streaming. I just thought it would be fun to talk about soldering and do soldering. And that's so RTX Hades is saying, even if you mess up, you can always move up the cable. So exactly. So like if we mess up this, all I have to do is cut it off and try again. So I mean, and I've got like 6 feet of cable to work with. So yeah. I think it is ground. So if we look at this diagram I found, I mean, I don't know how accurate this. I mean, it looks pretty accurate, but the black wire they're labeling as USB ground, and then the red wire is USB VCC. So I interpret that as power and ground. Is that the same thing as positive and negative? I don't know. I haven't tried DSP programming. Yeah, so so Ched is saying, when to my explanation earlier, power voltages as a data stream. Yes, that's how data transfers over any cable. So any USB cable, HDMI cable, any digital signal is just a series of highs and lows, zeros and ones. Winsky is saying, I like to strip wires at different points, so red at one end and black at the other end, so they're less likely to touch, then I wrap it. I see what you're saying. I'm going to do my best. Yeah, so Loco is mentioning they use a lighter for the thinner ones as well. Yeah. Cool. So this side is exposed. I'm going to expose this side. We're going to put our shrink wrap on, and then we're going to solder. So I'm going to go ahead and get my soldering iron heated up. So, this soldering iron doesn't have an on-off switch and doesn't have a temperature dial. So it's just one temperature. I just gotta wait for it to heat up. The blueberry Kit Kat was good. It tasted like a blueberry muffin, which is the full flavor. I've messed up. So when I just used the wire cutter there, I cut into the wire, and so it's teeny tiny. I need to go a little bit further back on this one so I can make sure that enough wire is exposed because I cut off some wire there. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Okay, so first of all, I need some teeny tiny shrink wrap. I should have some. Yeah, check it out. And then I'm going to cut this down to size. So I need a piece of shrink wrap that can go over both wires, so probably... well... maybe about that big? And then while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and put the bigger shrink wrap on because once these wires are connected, I'll have no way of putting this shrink wrap on. So I need to basically get this on there so that it can be shrunk after the other wires are put together. So I'm just going to pull this back and push this onto there. So this just waits, and then after I'm done with all of the soldering, I'll pull this. I'm gonna tape off the red or the green and the white wires, reshield it, push the shielding or the shrink wrap on, and then shrink it. You can just use a lighter. That's what I'm going to use. Just a regular, plain old handheld lighter. And you just kind of like hover it over. So I had to cut it down because I didn't expose that much wire, and that's about all the room I have for the heat shrink to sit. But that should be fine because I'm basically going to twist and then solder those two wires together and then pull that on top of it. We are taking a USB cable and unattaching the green and the white wires, which is what the data gets transferred over, and only reattaching the power and the ground. So we're effectively making a USB cable that is only a power cable. It is not a data cable. I'm going to cut this red wire down just a little bit. So now I'm going to twist the two red wires together, and then we'll put some solder on it just so it's a more secure connection. We don't want data because this dash camera, whenever I plug it into the USB port in my car, it thinks it's a computer, and it doesn't automatically start recording. So if I remove the data wires, whenever I plug it in my car, the dash cam will just think it's plugged into power and not plugged into like a computer. That's the goal. We're trying to trick it. we're not really tricking it. We're just only applying power instead of data. Because I know for a fact that whenever this camera is plugged in to like the DC power in a car, or like the cigarette lighter, it just instantly turns on and starts recording. It doesn't think it's plugged into a computer. Okay. I know it's kind of hard to see. Basically, let me get everything else out of the way. This piece right here is what we're going to put the solder on. I've lost my solder. And so that's a great point. Nerd Dog is saying this project is also a good idea for people who travel and might plug their phones into public charging ports. Exactly. So we showed the USB pin out. This green and white wire are actually what data is transferred over, and that's how a phone would potentially get hacked of sorts, because data would need to be transferred over those two wires. But if you have a cable that is only power and ground, there's no way to even connect to it to hack it or get data off of it, because you're only applying power and ground. And I do believe you can actually buy these like, you don't have to do this. You could buy a cable that is listed as just a power cable, and then you wouldn't have to solder it yourself. Yeah. It's not a web camera. It is a dash camera, meaning I plug it in my car, and then it just like records the whole time I'm driving. Okay. I lost my solder. I gotta find my solder. I found my solder, and this is what I'm working with. I don't even have a reel of solder right now. It's just a bunch of old solder. I'm just going to cut off a little piece. This is what I'm going to hold on to. And here we go. That's it. That's all. So I'll give it a second to dry, and or to cool down, not dry. And then I can just do a quick tug on it to make sure that those two red wires are actually connected together. I'm going to go grab a lighter so that I can do the heat shrink part. Technically, it's dry as hot solder becomes a liquid. I guess so. So the hot solder is drying out. Not quite, though. So RTX Hades was asking, does the dashcam have an onboard memory, like a micro SD? Yeah. So it has a micro SD card. And that's what... so before I had this cable, which is a USB cable, I just used the cord that it came with, which plugs into the power outlet in the car, like the cigarette lighter thing. And it's always just had an SD card on it, so it basically records constantly whenever I'm driving, and it overwrites itself after the SD card is full. Okay, there's a lighter. Let's test my solder. So I'm pulling, not hard, but I'm pulling a little bit, and it stays together. So I'm going to now put the shrink wrap over it. And actually, I'm going to cut off a little bit of the end because I don't want that exposed. Just cut a little bit off so that it's completely covered by the heat shrink wrap whenever I put it on there. Okay. So now, you see this piece right here. I'm just going to run the lighter over it, and it will shrink in place. Watch it. Is there any way to turn this down? Guess not. But you can see that it's slowly shrinking. Good enough. I mean, technically, I could test the connection by putting a multimeter on this side of the cable to find the power or the VCC pin on this side of the cable, and then connect it to the other end of the cable. But I'm just gonna trust it. I'm just gonna trust my connection. Because it's just a basic wire connection. Like those two things were soldered and they were connected together. I'm not worried. But that is one thing you could run into. Like, you could do all this whole thing and then the cable doesn't work. I'm like 98% positive this is gonna work. Technically, an inline twist would have been better. That's kind of what I did. So we'll do it on this next one. Oh, I need to put the 98% is leaving a lot of room for error. The thing is, this project is so easy that if I messed up, I will just cut the wire and try again. Yeah. So does it work? Stay and find out. So don't forget the shrink wrap, because if I solder them before putting the shrink wrap or the wrap on, I couldn't put the wrap on, so that goes there. Now I'm going to twist these two together. Cool. So those two are twisted together. Well, they were. I'll twist it. There will be fireworks. No, with the way I'm doing this, it just won't. If I messed up, it just won't turn on. It's not going to ruin the device, because it's not like I'm crossing wires. The green and the white one, I'm going to make sure those are off to the side, not connected to each other, not connected to anything else. I'm going to make sure that the shielding isn't touching any of the exposed wire underneath, so there will be no shortage here. I'm pretty confident. Pretty confident. I'm not going to ruin this camera with it. Okay, so now we're going to just apply the solder so it's a more permanent connection. Firefighters will love it. No, like, I'll show you. And the thing is, like, I can even test it by plugging it into a battery bank, not even plugging it into the wall. That's it. So we'll let that cool down. We'll test the connection. We'll heat shrink wrap it, and then I think we're good to go. That's all it took. RTX Hades, I missed that message, says they used to build their own electric go-karts, so they have soldering PTSD. This soldering was super simple. All I did was basically coat the twisted wires with the solder. Okay, so we can test it. Those things are not coming apart. I'm going to cut the end off of it. And then we're going to heat shrink wrap it. Look at that. It's coming along. It's looking more and more professional as we go. I've never heard the term lineman splice. Can you explain it for us, Icy Black Deep? Not exactly a lineman splice. I don't know if there's an actual term for what I'm doing here. Yeah. I mean, that's one thing you technically could do is like you if you had a. I mean, that's another way to go about this problem. Is you could get a USB end that only has power and ground connected to it, and then solder that to the power and ground of the cable itself. That's one way to go about it. I am basically just at this point I have connected the black wire to the black wire, the red wire to the red wire, and now these other two wires are just going to stay off doing nothing. Method of twisting two wires together in line. Oh, yeah, this is a... I guess this is a more proper lineman splice, because technically they are twisted together, but then I put solder on them, and then I put heat shrink wrap on them, so it's a little bit better than, just twisting the wires together. That's how you start a fire, is by just twisting the wires together. Okay, I'm gonna go get some electrical tape, so that way I can tape the green and the white wire off to the side to make sure they're not touching anything. And then we'll use this heat shrink wrap on the whole thing, and you won't even be able to tell that I did anything. And what's up, Main Thigh? Thanks for being here. Okay, so now I have electrical tape with dog hair all over it. I'm just going to get some tiny pieces and basically just tape the white and the green wire off to the side. Yeah, and so, like, this is a cable for a device that is not like a smart charging device. It's not USB-C or USB 3.0. This is just a plain old 5-volt powered device. Is dog hair conductive? I don't think so. I think it's more of an insulator. I don't normally work on hardware things, no. Today I am just soldering a wire. So I'm gonna cut the green and the white wire down even more so they're not touching anything. And then I'm gonna completely separate them. So I'm gonna tape this one down here. And basically I just wanna make sure that the copper inside of that green shielding or that green insulator isn't touching anything. It's not touching the shielding on the outside. It's not touching another wire. So that way, if this end of the cable is trying to communicate over that green wire, just nothing happens. It just goes to nothing. And same thing with the white wire. So I'm just taping it there so that it's not touching or connected to anything. Okay, that side, good to go. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. But what Icy Black Deep was mentioning actually is interesting to note, because in the newer USB standards, there's a standard called power delivery, and that's where a USB-C device can actually negotiate with the power source that it's plugged into and negotiate how many, is it volts? Yeah, how many volts it would like from the power device. The old versions of USB, like USB 2.0 and 3.0, don't, well, maybe it was like the later USB 3 supported that. But the older versions is just 5 volts over the red wire. There's nothing smart about negotiating how much power should be delivered. And that's what this is. This is just an old dumb USB device. Okay, we're really close. We're really close. Now at this point, all we need to do is to take the metal shielding, put it back on, and then we'll put the heat shrink wrap over the whole thing, and we're done. Now, I mean, it is very important that this metal shielding is not touching any of the exposed wires, but I've done a good enough job moving the other wires off to the side and shrink wrapping the inner wires so that none of their wire stuff is exposed. So we've got that. Now I'm going to put the heat shrink wrap over the whole thing. Like this, and look at that. You can't even tell I did anything. Before I heat shrink wrap it, I will just test it to make sure the device actually powers on, because I can at least save some heat shrink wrap. But if it doesn't power on, then I just got to redo it. So this end goes there. And then I'm just going to plug it into a battery pack. Boom. And then you can see that the red dot turned on, so it instantly starts recording. I did it too soon. You can't vote on it. It works. It works. It works. And that's exactly what I wanted to happen. So when I plug it in, I wanted it to start recording, because the issue was before it was trying to communicate over the data wire, and then like I had to click through the menus, and I had to say, no, this isn't a PC, please start recording. But now it's just power. It's just power. So at this point, we can heat shrink the whole deal. Here we go. Pretty cool. I'll test it one more time now that we've shrink wrapped it, but we should get the exact same result. Boom. Nice. Nice. So we've done it. we've taken a cable that used to be like a full-on USB 2.0 cable, and we've turned it into just a USB power cable. There were some interesting notes in the chat. People mentioned that you could actually make a cord like this for charging your phone, or buy an existing one. And that way, like if you're plugging into unknown USB ports to charge your device, there's no way for data to be transferred. It literally can only deliver power. Cool. We did it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to do hardware-wise. Because I will show you some stuff that I haven't showed on stream yet. Because I'm actually working on an IRL backpack for IRL live streaming, and I'm essentially making my own little computer box, and I'm going to show that to you right now. And the she-boss with the gift. Thank you so much. With the 5 gifts. You're too kind. Thank you for that. Oh, I didn't know RWX Rob was doing IRL streams now. That's awesome. And Mr. T. McGush, thank you very much for that tier 1. And Sound of Gaming, I think I missed your resub. Thank you for the 17 months. And Lucas Aryev, thank you for the 2 months. Okay. You all are getting a first look, sneak peek. I mean, there's only roughly 100 people here. Normally there's a lot more, and I've talked about this in the past, but I've never shown it. But here it is, and let me explain it all to you. So, these are all just extensions. And this is actually just a mini PC that I bought. So this is a mini PC that has 8 gigs of RAM, and I installed a 1 terabyte, what are those things called? eSATA? What are those things called? NVMe, that's it. Thank you, Octavius. So 1 terabyte NVMe, and then I installed that on there. But so this is basically just a Windows computer, and the form factor it came in was super impressive. Like, it was literally the size of a phone, but it's a full-fledged 64-bit Windows computer. The issue is when you're trying to do things like video encoding and streaming, it gets really, really hot. Too hot for its little enclosure that doesn't even have a heatsink or anything like that. So basically, I've started to build this box, and then I've attached this a CPU cooler that's actually meant for a Raspberry Pi. I've attached it to the board and then to it so that it'll keep the CPU cool. And then I'm also going to be using some fans inside of the enclosure, like here-ish, that will blow the heat out of it. See if I can give you a better thing on this. So this is basically like a rectangular box. And then all of these are just extensions. So this is an HDMI extender. And so you could think like on the front, there's going to be a front panel on the box that will just have all of the connectors extended from the computer inside. So it'll have HDMI. There's an Ethernet extension that's just going to be mounted on a panel in the front. And then some USBs will be mounted on a panel in the front. So there'll be a nice clean panel right here with all of the connector ports. And then also mounted inside of this box is going to be a transcoder, HDMI transcoder. Now, technically, you could do everything on a Windows computer. You could run OBS. OBS could send the data off to Twitch, like transcode it to Twitch. But in my tests, it's just too much for the little device. It just can't handle it. So the device, the little Windows computer here, its main purpose is compositing all of the cameras and scenes in OBS. And then it actually has, it has two screens. One screen is used so that I can remote desktop into it and like manage it and fix things if I need to. And then the other screen is outputting to this transcoder. So this separate device does the job of sending the stream from this box to my home computer, which in turn is sending a stream to Twitch. But I separated the two outs because this computer couldn't handle that. So I've got a transcoder, you've got the video compositor, and then the other piece is this little Windows computer is running a Speedify VPN. So it can aggregate multiple cellular connections. So I have a little, it's not around here, but I have a 4G LTE box that has Ethernet out. And so that'll get plugged into the Ethernet. It has Wi-Fi on it, so it's going to be connecting to a hotspot from my phone. And then I've got an available USB, so I'll be plugging in a USB that has a SIM card inside of it so that I can take 3 different data connections and combine them into a single one. And they're from all the major carriers. So I've got Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. So that way, when I'm out in the world, if an area doesn't have good Verizon service, it might have good AT&T service. So it can load balance between them and then also aggregate their connections. So if I have signal for all 3 of them, but it's really like a low data signal, it can combine all 3 and potentially I'd still be able to stream even with lower lower bandwidth. So the reason I'm building the box this way is I found a backpack. Let me show you the backpack. I found this backpack, but it came with a little camera. Where do I go? Here. It came with a camera bag. A bag goes in here, and then this just like Velcros on like that. But I was like, this is perfect, because now I'm gonna the box that I'm building fits into here exactly. So basically, I'm gonna be wearing this backpack. That whole PC and the transcoder and all of the USB cellular data stuff, all of that's going to be in that one little box that just slides right in here. Camera attaches there. Little lapel microphone right there. Good to go. And I've also got just like a wireless USB keyboard, so that way I can remote into the computer from my phone and like control it. So there's nothing in the backpack right now, but and hello, Mr. Demon Wolf, thanks for being here. But this thing I'm working on will be in the backpack. This, and then oh yeah, so that's another interesting thing about this little PC, and like that's why it's tricky to try and build something like this, because like if you use a laptops are meant to be portable, but they're not really meant to go in a backpack. So you have to really work out how you're gonna have ventilation if you're putting a laptop into a backpack, and it's battery powered. And then they have like the Intel Nook or other like small form factor PCs, but there's really no way to run them off of battery. You could technically have a battery bank that provides 12 volt power, and as long as that power supply on the little PC runs with 12 volt power, you could plug it into that. But this actually has USB-C power. The tricky part is it doesn't have power delivery, which is that mechanism I was talking about earlier, where USB-C devices can actually negotiate with the thing you're plugging into and say, hey, I need 12 volts of power, please, and then it will deliver that. This is just a USB-C connector that wants 12 volts, but it won't negotiate 12 volts. So I found this thing. So this has USB-C and then a little, I think it's 2.5 millimeter DC adapter on it, but this has a little chip inside of it that will negotiate 12 volts. So I plug this into a smart battery bank like this, because this smart battery bank has USB-C and can do power delivery. So I plug it in here. This little cable says, hey, power bank, I need 12 volts. And then I have another cable that goes from here into the computer that delivers 12 volts over USB-C. But which means I can power this little PC on a battery bank like this. And that's the other cool thing is like a lot of the backpacks you see have like massive batteries. I just have to carry around a couple of these, and in some of the tests I've done, one of these batteries lasts like roughly 2.5 hours. So I could probably get with all the batteries I have, maybe like 5 or 6 hours of streaming. I don't know. I'll have to do some tests to see how long I can go. But that's the other interesting thing is like the transcoder. I specifically got one that takes a battery pack, because now this doesn't depend on that battery pack. I can actually just charge up some of these camera batteries, and now this thing is standalone. I just put the HDMI in and Ethernet in so that it can connect to the web or the internet. And then this device does the work of sending the signal back to my home PC. But this thing is almost done. Really, all I'm working on is cutting out the pieces, and then like building a front panel that all of the like USB and Ethernet and everything will mount to. And then also mounting fans inside just to keep it cool inside. So yeah. That's what I'm working on. It's a super old grandpa connector to a super young... Yeah, basically it's like the higher tech power delivery getting converted into just dumb 12 volt powder. Yeah, so I mean, not wirelessly. Like technically this has Wi-Fi antennas, or it has an Ethernet port on the back. So this thing needs internet somehow. And basically I have an Ethernet cable running from the Windows PC into this that's sharing the combined connection with it. And so over that combined connection, it's sending the signal back to my home PC. And if you've ever looked into IRL streaming, you don't typically want to send your stream directly to Twitch when you're out in the world, because if you at some point lose signal, your entire stream would go down. And so a lot of people will pay a monthly fee for a service that lets you stream to their server, and if the connection ever gets lost, it automatically goes to like a be right back screen. So I'm going to do that, but I won't use like a cloud hosted server for that. I'm just going to this is going to connect directly back to my home PC. And I'll be able to remotely control my home PC to switch between scenes and stuff like that. And then like any sort of chat overlay would be running on my home PC. So that way, literally the main signals I'm just sending from this Windows PC are just the cameras. But that's the other cool thing about setting this up myself is I can use USB cameras. So like this 4K camera that I'm using for stream here, it's just a USB camera. I have an autofocus version of it, and that's going to actually be the camera that I hold in my hand. And then I have a camera with a built-in gimbal. That's what goes on the backpack, and that just acts like a webcam, so it's just USB out. So I actually have two cameras that don't require an HDMI transcoder or anything like that. I can just plug them directly in via USB. Cool. So that's that. Yeah, I think I'm done for today. I'll finish catching up on chat. Feel free to say anything in the chat you want me to hear before I go. But then we're gonna leave and we'll do a raid. Chet is saying, little off topic, do I have a remote desktop connection app I recommend? I'm going to want to connect to my home PC while on vacation. I don't have one to recommend. There's like, there's one I used a long time ago that's like PC Anywhere or something like that. You could also use TeamViewer. Yeah, the reason I'm hesitating is because typically if you want to do something like this, you actually would want like a VPN set up on your home network. So that way you could VPN to your home network, and now that you're on your home network and have like a local IP address, you could just easily just use RDP or like any regular plain old remote desktop to RDP into it. You don't really want to expose RDP publicly to the internet because that's how things get hacked. But look into like TeamViewer. I'm pretty sure TeamViewer can do it. Yeah, the Sid says, thank you for everything, and I wish you the best. Not really. All if there are... Thank you, the Sid. I wish the best to everyone, psychopaths and all. Octavius is saying, are there any coding projects that you'll need to tackle to make the whole IRL setup work? Yeah, so, I started on it a while back. Basically, when I was... I took like a 2-month break from stream a while back, and that's when I started working on a lot of this stuff. I've already coded pretty much everything I need. I have it's just a web page that I load up on my phone, but the web page has a stream preview, so I can see what's being sent to my home computer, like what stream is being sent. I can see that as a preview on the page. I can see my network bandwidth, like how much I'm uploading and downloading. I can switch between OBS scenes on the page. And I can mute and unmute my microphone. So I already worked on all of that, but whenever I get going, I'll definitely show the code for it. Yeah. And Tux is saying, very cool hat. What's this called? This is called a brimless hat. And I'll talk about it because I'm a fan of it. So I'm the kind of person that likes to wear beanies all year round. But in the summer, especially like today and yesterday here in Denver, it was like over 100 degrees at a certain point in the day. It's really hot, and a beanie would not work. And so I found these. I think these are usually worn by like chefs, but it's literally just a hat that doesn't have a bill or doesn't have a brim. So if you just search for brimless hat, you can find it. Look at this, a little. You could be a kitten. I don't even know which one I bought, but I found one that had decent reviews and then bought it on Amazon. Yeah. TeamViewer, AnyDesk, Google Chrome Remote Desktop. Yeah. And my fools, hello. hello, but goodbye. I'm gonna head out. Cool. Thanks everyone for hanging out. It was fun tasting that Kit Kat. It was fun soldering. Hopefully you learned a little bit. Join the Discord and join my mailing list. Join the Discord there and sign up for my mailing list here. I will update you sometime tomorrow with the stream schedule for this coming week. It's likely going to be, my next stream is going to be on Tuesday. Probably like a midday stream, I think, on Tuesday. But keep an eye out there, and I'll let you know when I go live. Yeah, you have a good night too, the Bite Pusher. Appreciate you. Alrighty, everyone. Wherever you are in the world. Wait. I think I already mentioned Mr. T. McGush. Thank you for the sub. Again, thank you, the She-Boss, for those gifts. Thank you, everyone, for all the supports today. But wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And until next time, here's this.